When you play the Game of Thrones, you
Subscribe and like.
or you die. There is no middle ground.
Alright, hello YouTube, welcome back to the Grease Comedy channel. And today's video is going to be an interesting one just based off of House of the Dragon in the show, and one of the prophecies that they've completely newly introduced into the show, which is Aegon's prophecy that someone from the Targaryen line would have to help defeat the others, and when they came south. So with this idea, I want to talk about, did Bloodraven know about this idea? So this is basically the character that Bran is learning from, and how to be like a three-eyed crow and all that. And the interesting idea here would be, does Bloodraven know the prophecy? Is that why we get a lot of these ideas, right, or theories that Bloodraven is manipulating events, right? That he's helping Jon become the Lord Commander, or saying, you know, Jon, or hinting at he is the king, or all these things because Bloodraven maybe knows that Jon is of Rhaegar and Lyanna's blood lineage, if that is the correct theory. Maybe that's why, and he knows that it's a Song of Ice and Fire, and Jon would fit that perfectly. Maybe that's why he's kind of manipulating events with Jon. It would make a lot of sense. So we're going to talk about logically how through the lines of the Targaryens this could have passed down to Bloodraven. Because George R. R. Martin has stated basically that Rhaegar kind of rediscovers the prophecy. And that's kind of why he starts, you know, getting heavily into the Azor Ahai stuff. So we're going to talk about why maybe the prophecy starts to get lost in the Targaryen line, and if Bloodraven possibly could have known about it. But before we get into the video, if you guys like to see more of this Song of Ice and Fire and House of the Dragon content, please consider subscribing. Helps the channel grow, reach appeal at my latest content as well. And let's get into it. So, major spoilers for what happens at the end of the Dance with Dragons segment, or the House of the Dragon segment, in Fire and Blood. So again, if you do not want the ending, more or less, of House of the Dragon spoiled, click off the video. I'm going to say this one more time. Again, major spoilers for what happens after House of the Dragon's kind of time period in the show. So now with that out of the way, let's talk about it. So we know Rhaenyra has the prophecy. It's been kind of brought down through Viserys and then to her. So the next idea we're going to have to think about is, does Viserys tell the prophecy to Aegon II? So this is going to be his first child with Alicent. Does he tell him? I don't think so. Because I think this is one of those things where it's like, Viserys believes Rhaenyra is the heir. Why would he tell the other people that aren't the heir, right? It's something for, it's kind of like, if you're from the United States, it's something where like there's this conspiracy type thing that there is a president's book where it goes through all these things that the presidents have wrote throughout the years. It's something similar to that, right? Whereas only the heir or the king or queen is going to know this prophecy. So I think for now that would make sense, right? So I think Aegon III or Aegon II doesn't get told. So the next question would be, who would Rhaenyra tell? I think it's very logical that in the war, right, during the Dance Dragons, she would tell her children, right? Now, I don't think she would have told her first 3 children with, we're going to assume Harwin Strong, but officially they are Velaryons. So I think maybe she tells her eldest at some point, but her eldest, again, spoilers, big spoilers, her eldest does die. So we see all this happen, right? And then Aegon III, so he is going to be the Aegon that takes it out over after Aegon II is kind of gone and dead. This is Rhaenyra's child with Daemon. I think she would have told him. He would have been at that point kind of her last kid, right? Before her demise, she would have told him the prophecy. So now we know that Aegon III would know the prophecy, and he would carry it after Aegon II's reign. So from here is where I think the theory gets a little muddy, because if Aegon III continues the theory, or I keep saying the theory, the prophecy, at some point, right, we know that this prophecy is going to muddle out. People are going to stop caring about it as much, and it's going to be something where people just kind of disregard it. Like they're told it, and then they kind of just okay, whatever, Dad, you're you crazy old guy. Like, you know, it's one of those things. So I think it gets written down probably. There's probably some documents that Rhaegar finds later on kind of proving that this was the prophecy that Aegon had. And I think what ends up happening here is when we get to Bloodraven's time, I think it makes a lot of sense that Bloodraven would know. Bloodraven has a ton of spies. He has a network, right? We're talking about in Dunk and Egg, where there's like the Thousand Eyes and One type thing with Bloodraven. I think Bloodraven would have known of this prophecy. Maybe not from directly being told, but just figuring it out and finding this out. I think it's logical that you could kind of throw that in there. And then eventually he would have figured it out anyway later on. But he definitely, I think, would know. And I think this would make a lot of sense as to why Bloodraven was trying to make sure the Targaryen like dynasty was intact. Because if it's not intact, then we have some big problems when it comes to Aegon's prophecy when the others come over. Because if the Targaryens are all gone and they're not on the throne, the others would win, or this attack from the whites in the north would win. So it makes a lot of sense why Bloodraven would take the actions he does when this might seem cruel, like trying to eliminate the Blackfires and their rebellions. It makes a lot of sense on his actions when he does actually end up going north to the wall and where he tries to maybe influence events. It will make a lot of sense as to why seems like he's supporting Jon and why he's trying to make all these events happen, because he is worried about the White Walker threat. But maybe that's not because of when he came north he saw the threat. Maybe it's because he already knew because of the prophecy introduced by Aegon. So I thought that was an interesting idea that we probably will not get confirmation on. We might get confirmation on how the prophecy maybe passes to Aegon the Third, or maybe Aegon the Second, and then Aegon the Second to somebody else. Or maybe it just dies out, and there's just some recorded history of it that eventually Rhaegar brings up or somebody else finds out. But I think it's very logical that we could determine that Bloodraven does know, and he bases a lot of what he does in the future off of this prophecy. Let me know what you guys think about it. I think it's a very interesting idea. I haven't seen a lot of people talking about Bloodraven's knowledge of possibly knowing about the prophecy, but yeah, I'm not sure. I think maybe this is something that George definitely came up with for the show, but it's something that he could tie into when he does Fire and Blood Part 2 and even the Dunk and Egg novellas as well. So let me know what you guys think about all those ideas, and let me know in the comments what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.
If you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention.